All right, we got Arlo McKinley here. New album coming out next week, the 15th. This mess we're in. Super excited to have you.
Thanks for having me.
You released some singles. I guess they call them singles, but you released some songs off the album ahead of time. What can we and the fans all expect with this new album?
I think just I don't know, man. It's a departure from Diamond Western. I don't know if it's necessarily as Americana or as country as Diamond Western would have been. It was just kind of a step in a different direction musically, but I guess that's just because I never really want to make the same album twice. But I don't know, if you're a fan of what I do, then I think it's the same thing. It's not like so much of a departure, but I'm super proud of the album. And if anyone's a fan of the singles or the songs that are released, then I'd say that you're probably gonna dig the rest of it, because it's all very similar. Not similar, but it's a different sound that's kind of leans how that Stealing Dark from the Night Sky is. It's a little more like organ heavy. It's a little more sonically, it's different more than anything. So, but I'm excited for it. I think people dig it.
A little more roots rocky in a sense.
Yeah, there's definitely
so many terms.
Yeah, right. I know that's the thing. What does any of it even really mean anymore? I don't even know what Americana means anymore. I have no idea. I don't know if it's music or if it's a movement or what it is. I don't. It's whatever. So I just kind of I just went in and I pretty much said to Matt Ross Bang the day I got there is I just don't want to make Diamond Western again, and I don't want to make a straight up country record. I was like, so let's just have fun and see what happens. And that's kind of what we did.
Is there ever a moment in like the recording process where you're like, let's get an accordion or something crazy, like let's get a cowbell, let's get a kazoo and just fuck around with something weird?
Not as crazy as like a cowbell or it was weird or something like that, but yeah, that's Matt in all the way. Like Matt Ross Bang's ear is insane, and he knows what will sound good. He pulled out this crazy, I forget what it's called. It's keyboard of some sort, but it just has these crazy sounds, and he's throwing them in throughout the album, just weaving them in and out. And but yeah, I mean, I think that's what we tried to do on this album, just be a little bit more creative, whether it's an instrument or whether it's layering some like harmonies or having a harmony in the back. I just tried to not make just a straightforward album. I wanted this album to be just different musically. I was listening to a lot of Nick Drake at the time and like Nick Cave, and I just kind of wanted to do something a little different, but not like so different that people would be like, what the fuck's going on? Like, and it was just trying different things out. But yeah, in the studio, it can, like, there's certain spots on this album where you can hear my hand hitting my acoustic guitar. I won't say where, but maybe people will find, but it's in time, and we're like, let's just keep it in. So it just like stuff like that, but which makes it fun. It's like a not perfect record, but it makes it perfect for me. It's the record that I wanted to make. So I'm happy with it.
You made me think of something, and I think Wes, you were about to say, I think you wrote it, but I'm blanking. Was the Americana terminology, wasn't there like a famous Tyler Childers thing that we posted about years ago where he talks about it?
Yeah, Tyler basically said that he makes like country music, and he was at the Americana Awards.
Ain't much about nothing.
Right, yeah.
I loved it.
I forgot the quote off the top of my head. I was like, yeah.
It's we were watching that. We were watching that live, and I fucking loved it because it's just, yeah. I mean, I don't know. It's just becoming, the music business in general is just becoming kind of weird, and it's just hard to, I don't know, it's hard to just be a musician now. I mean, it seems like a lot of us are called on to be other things, and that's just not what I do. I mean, I write songs, and I'm a song and dance man. That's it. I got nothing else to really say about anything.
Speaking of it being obviously a very difficult industry, is you're a Midwestern guy, obviously, Ohio. So are we. We actually started Whiskey from Chicago. Wes is from Illinois. I was from Indiana. So we're all right there, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio. And obviously country music was a huge part of growing up, but then there was this huge rush at everybody that's a country singer has to get to Nashville, or there was a lot of people in Texas, of course, and all over, but there was always this, I never grew up in the Midwest thinking like knowing anybody who was like, I'm pursuing music. Did you feel like it was more difficult coming from the Midwest? Or I feel like the environment makes it very easy to make true country music from that area.
Yeah.
You probably would agree, but do you think it made it any difference whatsoever? Kind of Midwest, I'm from here. Yeah.
I've never once felt the need or anything to move to Nashville to help out my music career ever.
Yeah.
First off, I don't want to move to a place where 1,000 other people are moving there to do the same thing. And I mean, that place is good on selling dreams to people. And then those people usually end up, I mean, I hate to say it, but I mean, they end up playing on like Broadway or, wait table. I mean, it's just something, I don't know why you would. And there was another Tyler interview where he said, great, why would you move to the fastest growing city in the United States to be a country singer? And that's one thing. And I just think that if the hard work's there, if the talent's there, and if the drive is there, it doesn't matter where you're at. I mean, as long as you're out hustling it and playing it, going on the road, then I think people are going to hear it. Like if you I almost think moving to Nashville is like I said, it is almost would set you back in a way, because you're just doing what everyone else is doing. Like there are things about Nashville that I absolutely love. I'm not knocking it, but when it comes to going there to be a musician, I've just never felt the need for it, or never saw how it would advance my career in any way.
I'm laughing a little bit. We've talked about it so many times, but it's like kind of like a sentiment we've had where we've been there so many times. We love it. We've had a good time. There's obviously some cool bars that have stayed kind of what they were and things of that nature. But I never really felt like, you don't go there, you're like, oh my God, this is country. Like I feel like, no. And I was telling Wes when I moved out here to the mountains in Colorado, it's like, it's much more like Western and just like naturally country, just like a guy like is a rancher, like goes to the grocery store with this cowboy hat. Like you don't see that in Nashville. You see a guy with like the long tee and it's just like with his man bun and like you might have a long hair. I'm not talking about you.
No.
we both have long hair, but you know what I'm saying.
I get it.
No. You know what I'm saying. So
I say it all the time.
It's just like a weird thing, and I'm like, wait a minute, this isn't very like. You have like your little section of Music Row where all the business or the labels and all the bullshit is, and it's like I get it. Good stuff comes from there, and it can come from there, I should say, but it doesn't have that feel. Like
there's a lot of cowboys, but not a damn horse in sight. That's how I like to. I like to explain it. I mean, it's like playing dress up or something. I mean, it's like Times Square with country bars. Like at least if you're talking about like Broadway down there. I mean, it's just.
Oh, now it's gotten crazy, right?
It's ridiculous. I mean, there's and like you said, there's cool things down there. There's cool people and all that, but it's not. I mean, for country stuff, I mean, I don't see it how it was. I mean, I just think it's I don't know. It's.
I mean,
far from what I think country. Like
Wes is in Chicago right now, not too far from where the Cubs play in Wrigleyville. You can go down Wrigleyville, and you're going to have a lot of country bars that are just like Broadway.
Yeah,
you know what I like. Honestly, like it's not that different. And I'd rather have Wrigley Field at the end of that road than Florida Georgia Line's bar or whatever.
Right, exactly. Yeah. I mean, I think we're getting one of those, or we have someone's bar here. Like Cincinnati's doing the same thing down on the
where you are right now?
On the bank. Yeah, I'm saying I'm at home. They're doing the same thing down on the banks. I mean, these country people are opening bars down on the banks for, girls to come in with their cowboy hats and cut-off jeans, and their dudes like coming through, and no one pays attention to the real country bar here, which is Bobby Mackey's old school country singer. And I mean, that's not in the city. That's out actually in the country. And it's like a mechanical bull riding place. I mean, it's like a legit
beautiful
spot. And but no one is going there. Like, I don't know, people are going there, but it's not like in the city. It's strange, man. The whole country thing's gotten weird in the last little bit.
We're seeing it now as we get a little older, like the areas go ahead.
I was gonna say, does Cincinnati have like a really good like music scene in a sense? Because I've only been there one time for a wedding.
We know the baseball team isn't good
and had a blast. But is
Yeah.
like we don't hear too many artists that I know of like necessarily coming out of the Cincinnati area.
No,
What was it kind of like growing up there and then the scene developing, if at all?
I mean, growing up, like we were all into like punk music, metal music. So there was like a scene for that. But then like when I started getting into other stuff, I think Whiskey Town and Wilco is what I heard that really kind of got me into, the kind of stuff I'm doing now. But and as far as like the scene now, it's almost non-existent. There are people who are doing things, but like, I mean, I really wasn't getting out and playing until I started hooking up with like Tyler Childers, John R. Miller and stuff. And we kind of created a little scene that was, Kentucky, West Virginia, and Ohio. And we're like just kind of seeing each other every weekend playing shows. But before that, I mean, Cincinnati really didn't have, for a scene for this music, it's not really there. There's like indie rock and stuff like that. Like those have little scenes. But Cincinnati is also weird that people tend to stay in the bars that they hang out at. So if there's a show at a certain venue, they won't go to it because it's not at the one they hang out at. It's strange. It's for music. It's not the best place to be. I don't think. Like we have good shows that come through, and people will come through. But as from an artist point of view, it's not the the best. There's not like a bunch of us who are supporting each other and we're in a music scene. That just seems to not really be. Besides me and Jeremy Pinnell are kind of, we have our own little scene here. We'll hang out and we'll make music together. But yeah, that's about it, man. It's a weird little spot. But
how did
I've
you
been there. Go ahead, Wes.
I would say, how did you get kind of tied in with guys like Tyler in the kind of more Appalachian scene? How did that come about?
It came out after I put out that first record. I don't really. We used to. There used to be a festival called the Whispering Beard Festival. It's got and then Tyler and them got booked on that. We were on it, and from there, I met Ian and Tyler, and then we just started kind of hopping on shows together. And that was probably like 2011 or 2012 or something like that, or maybe when the album came out. In between 2012 2014 is when I hooked up with them. So yeah, I was just telling a story the other day about playing a show with Tyler where there was like 5-6 people there, and the entire time I'm playing, Tyler's holding a cable into the monitor because it keeps flipping out, and I can still picture it. And now I'm like, man, dude's selling out Red Rocks 3 nights in a row.
Back-to-back shows at Red Rocks.
Yeah, right.
So mad I missed that shit.
And that's yeah. But those shows, those small ones, are just cool to like think about and just to see. I mean, he kind of showed how like really that if you just hard work, man, is really all it takes, and not moving in that. I mean, that's the one. Watching him do what he did is kind of what put the mindset that I have in place for me. It was just showed that a dude from a small town in Kentucky is working his ass off, writing good music, and just doing it, and it worked out. So, but yeah, I like heavily ran into him probably like between 2012, 2014, somewhere throughout there, and then ended up being managed by the same people. So yeah, no.
I feel like a lot of people, I mean, Tyler has had some interviews, and obviously so we were talking about some of the quotes he said that are great, but I feel like a lot of people are just like, who is Tyler Childers? We had a lot of the Texas guys on, and there's this mythical aura around like George Strait, because not a lot, he doesn't do interviews, like, and right. So we always ask, like, and they all kind of say the same thing. What's Tyler Childers really like? Getting to hang out with them, getting to sit backstage, relax when it's not, maybe music related.
Yeah, I mean, oh, sorry, blacked out. Sorry.
Oh no, I thought the smoke killed
the smoke
spilled it up.
No, man, he's the most humble dude that I know, and like I try to take so much from that guy on how he does things. Like, I mean, he's just, if we're sitting around talking, I mean, music's the last thing we're talking about. He's talking about I should come out to his house and see his goats, see what he's done to his house. But yeah, I mean, really, a picture just surfaced of him riding horses on the carriage he made out of a truck bed like that. But that's really him. Like, he's not putting on any kind of like show or anything like that. He's just, I mean, of course he cares about. Dude, I'm having all kinds of problems.
No,
of course he cares about the music and all that, but it's not. I mean, I think he just wants to raise the animals, be with his wife, be out in the country and just live that life and go to music when he wants to. Like, that's
very smart.
Yeah, he's living there. He's living country life. Like, really. I mean, he is what he says he is. I mean, he's one of the funniest dudes I've ever met. Also, and some people are always like amazed when I say that, because they're like, we can't even get him to talk. Which, he is a quiet guy, but when he does talk, it's funny. Like, we used to, like, there was a festival kicking on the creek down in his hometown that we used to play often. They haven't done it in a few years, and just getting to know him over the years is just an honor. He's an awesome dude. He's helped me out majorly, but yeah, he's just a good cat.
I feel like if you watch him introduce his band, you'll know how funny of a guy he is.
Dude.
Like, that's hilarious. Like, and I feel like that's a bit of a lost art. Like, not everybody does
everybody
that.
tries to do it still, but it's like like on the drums. It's just like super quick.
Yeah, he's just he's always on the wit. He's he's good. Yeah, I've had some good times with that guy, man, for sure.
We've posted a few of these articles from you over the years, and about you doing covers, and we posted Tyler doing some covers recently as well. But you did a Post Malone one, you did a Rihanna one. Is that something you like to just play around with? And then if it's like you're like, oh shit, this is pretty good, you might like record it, put it on YouTube? Because your average fan might not think that. Well, Post Malone has really become a cool thing in the country scene, where he's teasing this idea of the country album a lot. Sturgill said he would produce it, I think, if it was instrumental
Cover
or something.
Sturgill.
Yeah, cover Sturgill.
With
the Rihanna one's a little more out of left field, but
when it comes to like covers, man, it would be an easy, or it'd be like an easy, if I just picked a George Jones song to cover, which I will cover, like country music for sure. But I don't know, if I hear a song that I just think is catchy, then I don't know. I've just said I try to take it back to how it was probably written. Like, all these big pop songs were probably written by one person or a couple on a guitar or on a piano or something, and then they turned into these songs. So I think the Rihanna one just started. I was like, man, that's a catchy song. I wonder what that would sound like just on guitar and me singing. So it kind of, that's where it led. And then after the Post Malone one, I don't even think it's anything that I do intentionally. It's just I'm interested on how these songs will sound. Like, lately, I've been doing this Harry Styles song that's been that people are like,
cool.
That people are like going, and it's funny how many people think it's my song. But I think that's why I like doing it, is because, and then I'll be like, no, that's a Harry Styles song. Maybe you should go and listen to it. Like, go listen to some other music or something too. But yeah, I just like taking these songs, like stripping them down and to how they probably were originally written, which, and it just goes to show that all music really is very, very similar. It just depends on how you put it down and record it, and what the final product is that makes it different. I mean, all songs start with usually 3 chords, some lyrics, and that's about it. So that's really all I try to do with them there. But I think now, knowing that like people talk about covers, so I'll try to kind of pick ones that I think people will be a little surprised at. But they're all songs I actually liked, and just wanted to see how they end up.
TikTok would be a disaster with the, like, if you post it. Have you seen all this in TikTok where people do cover songs? This is like permeating. There's a lot of examples of it now, but maybe you went viral singing Harry Styles. His fans would jump in and start yelling.
It's not, man. There are people who've tried to get me to do the TikTok thing, and I don't. First off, I don't really get it too much, and I just don't have that much to really show the world, more than I already do.
It would be that. It would be, if I was you, if you ever do it, just post some clips of you doing covers or messing around on the guitar or whatever.
Yeah. Like, I've seen some people like covering my stuff on there. People will send me like videos of people covering my songs, which is
cool if somebody's good and coming up and a young kid or whatever, right? That must feel good, right? Yeah, if it's good, right? It's cool. Well, because in the YouTube days, there's a lot of bad.
Dude, the SoundCloud stuff, I didn't even know some of the SoundCloud stuff existed. I was at my drummer's house, and he was like, do you know all these exist? And I swear we sat and listened to like 50 versions of Bag of Pills, and I was like, dude, you gotta stop. I was like, it's not even funny anymore. Like, it's just, and then some are good, and I'm so thankful. I'm not knocking on. I'm so thankful that people even take the time to do it, but it's just, I don't know. I don't like putting anything out unless I'm like super comfortable with it. So it just makes me wonder, like, are people really thinking this is?
Oh my! Good Lord, when once Tennessee Whiskey and Chris Stapleton
Lord,
became
yeah,
that whole part of YouTube was just a cesspool. It was just
yeah,
people just all of a sudden were like, "Oh, I can sing." It's like,
yeah,
no, you can't.
no, yeah, you can't do it. Yeah,
It
yeah,
was
man.
just
I think a lot of
constant
those
covers
people
of
thought
that
it was.
song.
Yeah, I think a lot of people were like, "Oh, I love this new Chris Stapleton song."
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Like,
Oh, then
people-
you post. Oh, George Jones are like, oh no.
David Allen Coe. Yeah.
So like we would start having to. We would like slack each other about how do we word this title of this article, because we know it's not obviously Chris's song, but some
Right.
people think it's only George's song, and then some
Right.
people David's like, and you're just like, previously recorded by
Any single
Right.
Tennessee Whiskey article I write, I have to like put a paragraph in about it was originally written by Dean Dillon and Linda Hargraves, but then it was recorded by, David
Right.
Allen Coe, and like because there's always that
people
comment.
get pissed.
Well,
People
there's
get
that
so
comment
mad,
that
like
it's a Dean Dillon song. It's not a Chris Stapleton song. It's not a David Allen Coe song.
Ugh.
And they like go all the way back to the songwriter, and it's like,
Yeah. The internet's given everyone an opinion that I really like. I mean, everyone has to put their 2 cents in. I mean, I'm like, come on. It's just, everyone's got to be heard these days. So
speaking of young talent, you got Logan Halstead on the new album.
yeah,
Such a young, like, oh man, so refreshing to see like a kid like him just kind of coming up right now, writing songs that would have
powerful voice.
the life experience of somebody who's more like our age or your age,
Yeah.
and you're kind of, which is maybe like a good and a bad thing. Some of the shit he's seen growing up there, but like,
100%. Yeah, I've had some. I try to take him out with me on the road as often as possible because I believe in that kid so much, man. I mean, to have that talent at that age is just. It's almost frustrating in a way, but we've talked. I mean, that kid's lived it already, and I mean, if he's that good at this age, I'm always telling people, imagine. I mean, he's just now coming into himself and figuring out who he is, and he's wise beyond his years, and he's another one. He's very just witty, man, and I don't know. And with the stuff that kid has seen, the positive attitude that kid carries around with him is awesome. We took him out on tour last time, and last time I went out and just had him in the van with us because I was like, you just ride with us. And I mean, it was awesome because he's like, I don't think he realizes how good he actually is at times. And that's the thing. And like, we like, not like reassure him, not that that's what he's asking about, but like, I just try to make sure that he knows, how it, that he's on to something. I think he gets frustrated with it a lot, just like everybody does. But I just always try to tell him to keep doing what he's doing, and it'll all kind of fall into place. But yeah, he sings on a new record, and then I actually went and co-wrote a song with him that will be on his record.
Oh, nice.
So then he's going out on this next tour. The long one that we go out, he's going to go out for like 6 or 7 dates with us. So yeah, he's someone right now that I think can really do some things for sure.
Awesome. Your story too is inspiring. With you kind of had a moment there where with drug use you kind of went to driving a truck, and you kind of had this path that maybe your average person doesn't go through, which I think probably hardens you in a good way. But looking back, do you take a lot from that? Is it like restart from that point when you got kind of healthier and like refocused, or
for sure? And I still like struggle with things here and there, and whatever. I never like to come off as saying I'm like the sober one or anything, but there is at least a moment, a realization where things have to change for sure. And because it all got so like I almost walked away from playing music and a couple times, and that would have been the worst thing I could have done. It's just some of that stuff, drug use, stuff like that, just gets to be consuming all day. It's just like you wake up, all right, I can't even wake up, go to the store without wondering, the first thought is how am I gonna score today, this and that. But I think when you realize that there's problem, and that you have people around, that are supportive and all that, and that you can talk about this kind of stuff, that, you kind of start to realize that, just take it day by day and kind of start working towards something better. But I'll never shy away from that. I'm very open about that kind of stuff, because I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing without it. It's a major part of who I am. It's made me who I am today. So, I'm still that guy in a lot of ways, but, yeah, I don't know. I guess I just wasn't ever thinking I was thinking music was never really going to go anywhere. And I just wasted time. And then I was like, I'll just do it for fun, this and that. But then, then I kind of just had a moment where I kind of realized, and let's get some shit together, try to get a little better. And then I quit that job and went full in on music, and then ended up here.
That's amazing. You actually make me think of somebody, but I've seen like addiction. Do you think for you, was it like everything, I got to stop everything, or was it just like a certain type of thing? I think of a case where it's a huge fan of this guy that people say is pretty rare. Like Anthony Bourdain was like a meth addict or heroin and cocaine and all this stuff. Cut it, but then like he always like smoked weed after that. He always like drank after that, and people are like, that's not common, like to be able to like continue on. Were you one of like a person that was like, I need to kind of just be everything's done, or do you sit like, oh, I'll take an edible to do this or that to calm?
Yeah, no, I'm definitely not completely. That's why I won't like use the term like sober on me, because I know some people who are, and I respect that, and it's a really, really hard thing to do. I think with me, there were certain things that needed to be like cut out completely, that were becoming a little too consuming. I think just kind of like, not even like if I wasn't doing it all the time, just thinking about it, like just it was always around certain people. I just had to change like atmospheres, and I had to change people who I was around, and just kind of my routine. But I'll still, like you said, edibles there, I'll still smoke, and I'll still do other things on occasion. But it's not an everyday thing anymore. I just had to break that cycle of it being the most important thing to me. These the certain things that are that, and which I've never been much of a drinker anyway, but I'll still have drinks here and there. But yeah, I was it got pretty bad there for a while though, for sure. Like everyone I know, like it hit, we got hit pretty hard with a lot of things, in the opiate epidemic and all that. So I just kind of had to figure out what worked for me.
And that's the tragic thing, like the opiates and stuff. I don't know. There's a show, and I keep blanking on the term. Michael Keaton just did a show, I think, on Hulu.
Yeah, dope sick show.
Yeah,
dope.
I
haven't seen it, but so many people have told me that I need to watch that.
And even in, it's everywhere, but where I grew up in Indiana, like pills were. You had like world like state champion wrestlers athletes being like just dropping dead from just pill. Like it just became such a thing, and you were just like, in these like towns within these Midwest. It kind of permeates obviously everywhere, but I think we saw it in Western Illinois, Indiana, Ohio. Like it kind of came.
I think those areas were like like you said, it's everywhere, but I think those areas, it was on another level of bad. Like Indiana, Illinois, this whole Ohio, Kentucky, West Virginia, that area got really, really bad. And just like you guys said, like, I know people who, like, I was the kid growing up, the parents were like, you shouldn't hang out with them. You're gonna get in trouble, just because I was a fucking idiot in school. But I'm watching these kids who did really well in life, and did, really, really well, and had things worked out, and just fucking either died because when the pills went away, they went to heroin, got shitty, then fentanyl, and then that, or they just spent, or they're just completely fucked up by it. And it's just that's another thing that I try to bring attention to. That's why we do the Healing Appalachia, the Hills thing, and stuff like that. Like, because I do think, I don't know if people realize how big of a problem it was in this area, and now it's left us with a heroin issue that's just ridiculous. Now it's just fentanyl. Now people are buying the fentanyl instead, I don't know. It's just crazy how
Oh,
it
man,
works
that's
out.
like,
Well, and now even cocaine is being laced with fentanyl,
Oh.
which is like the opposite of what you want to be
The opposite,
doing.
100%.
Like,
one, dude, yeah,
and people are ODing on it, like mixing the two together. And I mean,
Yeah.
even like major celebrities and actors, it's
well, the football
it-
player
it
for
doesn't
the
it
Ravens
doesn't
just died, and
choose.
they found fentanyl in the system, right,
Yeah.
Wes?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like it doesn't, like, it doesn't choose who. It doesn't matter
No.
if you're famous, it doesn't matter if you're successful, it doesn't matter if you're dirt poor. Like, you
No,
can.
and that's what is it okay if I move for a second?
Yeah, for
Don't
sure.
Okay, I just
whatever you need.
Yeah, that's what I was saying to someone else. Like, I mean, we start, like, people who get into this stuff, it's not like we're choosing or knowing that this is where it's going to lead. And
Right.
that's why I try to, like, make an open dialogue about it and give, talk about it as much as possible. Because, I mean, the last thing that I think anyone that gets into drugs or anything like that, the last thing they think is going to happen is that it's going to completely control their lives at some point.
It won't be me.
And you just, I mean, wake up, it's the first thing you think about, and this and that. So yeah, it's just, I don't know, it's just a crazy thing, and I just try to take the stigma away from it as much as possible.
Well, I think a lot of that comes through in your music, and especially with Die Midwestern, it's just seemed like such a voice of like hope in a lot of sense to people. And I think even I read on your website that, people who were in Afghanistan was like, oh man, that record got me through stuff. And people dying of cancer was like, man, that record got me through stuff. So what is it like hearing stuff like that from people who, like, your music has changed their life for the better?
And that the two that you mentioned are some of the heaviest things that I've ever heard. The Afghanistan thing, I mean, I sat and thought about that afterwards. Like, was thinking, like, man, just thinking about what that guy probably saw. He did 2 tours, he said, over there, and that the only piece that would, that they would get in the day was when they'd put my record on at night. And I was just like, I don't know why. I don't know why it does that for people or for him, but I mean, that's I hate saying it's the best compliment, because I mean, it's a shitty situation, but just knowing that what I'm doing can do something like that for, someone in that situation, just kind of reminds me and reassures me that I'm doing the right thing. And that I'm just if I just stay honest about me, then I think people can relate to that in some way. And that's really all I can hope for at the end of the day, is that people are relating to it somehow and getting something positive out of it, or realizing that they're not the only ones going through some negative bullshit.
Yeah, I think that's a perfect way to wrap it up here. And you have the new album coming out July 15th.
Yep.
This Mess We're In.
Yeah.
And then touring, if you want to remind people, kind of like the rest of the year.
Yeah, we've got the release shows coming up, and then after that, we're hitting the West Coast pretty hard. I don't know exactly the day. I think it's September. We're going out. The whole calendar's starting to fill up. So yeah, I mean, it's gonna. I'd say just keep your eyes on the website, arlomckinley.com, and you'll see it. I'm sure we'll be in every little city coming up for the rest of the year. I mean, it's gonna be a busy one, but it's gonna be a fun one for sure.
Well, we love your music and songwriting, and that story was awesome. Way to end it, because I think pretty cool to hear that, right? Coming from somewhere that far. And we're gonna do our best to kind of get it out there even further, hopefully. So
yeah, I appreciate it, man. I love what you guys do. So thank you guys for taking the time. I appreciate it tons.
All right, Arlo, have a great weekend. Be safe out there.
Man. Yep, you guys are good.
See ya.
See you, buddy.